everyone, and welcome to yet another stream with Trollspeiler. Today we are going to do, as we promised last time, down transitions from the Canter.
Yes.
Yes.
And I was the one who had to do it.
Yes, because I refused, like I said.
Yeah.
I didn't refuse, she actually stole my thunder for once. I'm just
Thunder,
kidding.
yeah.
I'm kidding.
It's not so thunderous there, but yeah, you know, we're, as usual, we're trying to show how to train a thing and not how you do it. Because you can, there are lots of people out there that are showing, here is how to do a pirouette and 1, 2, 3 pirouettes. Yeah, but you don't learn anything.
I already knew how to count, actually.
Yes. So it's we want to show you, take a horse that is not, it has a chance to do it, but you know, we have to struggle a little to do it, and it's not perfect.
Yes.
So that is what we're trying to show.
So there's gonna be preparations. So we'll see you right at the Canter, I suppose.
Yeah, and try to do a downwards transition, and it falls a little apart in the beginning. That is.
Maybe first, how do you ride a down transition? This is interesting.
Yeah, because what you it's easy to think that you want to just pull at the reins and the horse just goes down into the gate.
Yeah, I've seen that with the race trotters. I've seen that happens a lot.
Yeah, and
like they pull at the reins and the horse just keeps running off at the Canter.
Yeah, and Dalton he is very sensitive.
Yeah.
So if you try to do it with the reins, he will just lower his back and his head goes up, and then he just, you know, he becomes terrible to sit to.
It disintegrates somehow.
Yeah, he falls apart.
Yeah.
And I fall apart as well because I can't sit on that. So what I do is that I'm trying to, you know, the rhythm of the gait is in Canter is like this. You know, I'm always talking about this circle that goes
in the seat.
Yeah, the circle of the saddle or the seat goes like a little like this. Yeah. If the horse is going that way, it goes like this, and in the trot it goes like this, and in the walk it goes like this. So with Dalton, I have to try to go from this to this with my seat.
So you have to turn that circle around. Where in the circle do you turn it? Do you know? Bottom, top?
No, it's just sort of a flowing transition. I just try to take hold of him because, you know, he wants to do this.
Yeah.
And then I have to say, no, this.
All right. So kind of halfway up in the uphill in the front.
Yes, and the difficult thing is that if you were trying to tense up and press your seat down and be stiff or something, then he will also fall apart.
Yeah.
So so you stretch up a little and you try to change the movement of the saddle, and you have to keep your legs on, or else he will fall apart as well.
Legs on for the down transition.
Yes.
Yes.
And then
that's fun.
I want you to tell something about that. Why do you need to keep your legs on?
All right. Yeah. I'll be happy to. You know how I'm happy to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
In the down transition, you need just as much energy as you need for an up transition. So, in physics, acceleration is the same whether it's increasing the speed or decreasing the speed. Because an object, as we know, will keep rolling or whatever, moving at the speed it's already at, unless some other force works on it. So when the horse weighing hundreds of kilos is moving in one direction, you have to use some energy to slow down. And it feels like you should just, like with your car, you just take your foot off the accelerator, right? So that's no energy, but it is. The engine is braking then.
Yeah.
And if you got a fancy electric car, even...
And then you got also like the wind resistance and all those
rolling
things.
resistance and all that.
But if you do that, if you just put on the brakes on the horse, the horse will just lose balance forwards. And then the horse comes to the forehand, and then it will sort of fall forwards, and it will trot in a very rattling way. And it's very painful to sit to, and it's painful for the horse as well. Or not painful right away, but if you continue doing that, it will not be good for neither you or the horse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the idea with adding legs is to ask the hind legs to step underneath. Mm-hmm. The difficulty is to do that without pushing the back down at the same time. So we're trying to manipulate these two things at the same time, so the back doesn't just drop but stays lifted. And then we also want the hindquarters to swing underneath.
Yes, so what I think I try to do is that when the horse goes into the sort of the suspension phase of the canter, that's there. You know, when your seat goes, there? Whoops, there is, the suspension is like here.
Yeah, so from here and this way, right? That's the suspension. From here to here, that's the suspension, right?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. So you go with the horse forwards, and then you're sort of in the air while the horse is moving.
In the air.
And then you are with the saddle again. Yep. If you do that, then your horse will get more suspension and a more like a better canter. And if you do that here, and then you use your legs to put their legs underneath, so the horse knows that something's coming. It's sort of a half halt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're stretching up, and you use your legs, and you say, now something's going to happen. And then when you're falling down, you are sort of going into the walk. This movement. But it helps when you're training, and we're going to show training, and it helps that the horse knows that this is going to come. Of course, when you're doing a dressage test, or you're doing other, you want to have an obedient horse. You want the horse to listen to your aids all the time, so know when you're cantering along, and then you want to go to walk. You just do this thing, and when the horse is balanced and obedient and strong and everything, he will just listen to you and do it. But when you train it, it's a good thing to do it several times on the same spot, so the horse anticipates what's going on, so that he will listen to you more and try to understand what's happening. So I'm going to show that as well.
Yeah. Seems to be a question up already.
All right.
Yep. What are you doing in detail during the transition? Seat bones, weight, etc.
I think I do exactly what I said now. Seat bones, they're following this circle a little, the innermost seat bones a little to the front, and
I feel like what I do often is I kind of, as Hanne says, when the horse is in the suspension phase, when it's lifting, I then put my legs on. And if I can feel that the horse is responding with his hind legs, then I can do a half halt with my hands, because now I have something that I can actually act upon.
And you have got a horse that is to the contact.
Yes. Yeah, so what I do is then my seat bones are now following, one leading a little bit, right? And then I do the half halt with my legs first.
Yeah.
Put legs on, swing the hindquarters under, and if the horse is still lifting, I will close my hands so that I'm telling the horse not to go further or to slow down a little bit. So all this energy that we just put in is now up. It's not allowed to go forward. If I yield with the hand, it'll go more forward instead. So I lift up, and if I want to do a transition, I might have to do 2 or 3 of these, and then or the horse might be, and and then you can do it in one movement, but
Yeah.
quite often you have to do several. So I do several of those that I just described, and then when I can feel that the horse is really up and listening, I will bring the outside seat bone forward.
Oh, yeah.
And I release the outside leg. And that means that so first I create the energy, and now I release the outside to take a longer stride, because the outside hind is lagging behind, right? So that's what I think when I and do, because my brain is like, I do this detail, and then I do this detail, and then the next.
Yeah, and this is the difficult part of explaining this, because it needs to be practiced.
Yeah. But we just went through detail by detail how to do it. So this is what we do with our legs first, need to be in the right face, right? And then the seat allows through, just keeps doing that, allow the horse up. The hand says, no, don't go any further than this. And then repeat that until the horse is prepared enough that you can bring the outside forward. That's what I do. And if I'm really fancy, I might do an extra half halt on the inside rein to slow the inside load.
But shall we just look at some videos?
Yeah, please. I want it.
Yeah. So let's just start with the first one.
Yep.
And it's 4217.
4217. Cantering along happily on the Dalton.
And there you can see the example. And it's too bad that we didn't get the video of the walk afterwards, because I was not precise enough to in my instruction for the video. You can see that I have to pull a little with my hands, and that is because he's not quite to the contact yet. If he's to the contact, I can just close my hands and use my seat.
Yeah.
You saw that I was trying to use my seat, and he falls a little down, and it's difficult when he's cantering like that. It's difficult to keep the legs on.
Yeah.
So what do you see, Pelle?
I see that you're a little bit behind the movement.
Yeah,
all the way through.
Yeah, I'm always that.
And also the horse is a little bit behind the movement, or as is the case with Dalton in particular, is that his butt is up in the air and his back falls down, and then his nose comes up, right? So this, even though it's in front of the vertical all the time, this isn't perfect riding, and you can see that the horse is a little bit stiff and icky just as the transition comes right there. You see that one of the legs is straight as it hits down.
I promise
down,
you can
right?
feel it as well.
Oh, for sure. But what you're doing really well is, as you're getting closer to the transition, you can see that your legs go a little bit back and more on.
Yeah.
You see this?
And
So
when
they become more
he does
quiet.
this with his back, then he goes away from the leg contact with his belly. It's very difficult to keep the contact when he's doing that. But that is, when you're doing this, you're not supposed to be perfect the first time. This is the first time we did this in this session.
Yeah. So what you can see is that he straightens that inside hind, and the outside hind doesn't come forward enough to help with the transition.
But the important thing when I instruct people to do transitions, I always say try to make as good a gait before the transition and after the transition as possible.
Yeah.
Because then the horse will, the transition will become better and better.
Yeah.
If you concentrate on the quality of the gait.
It's the same as in dancing. You learn to put your feet in the right spot first, and then you're trying to do the right thing with your feet all the time, feel like an idiot. But without that, it's impossible to get the right start to the turns.
Yeah.
And this is the same. So if you have a good gait, then you can do a good turn or transition.
The basic steps need to be there first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when take the next one, the
Roll
20.
next.
And now Dalton has understood that, we're going to canter.
Yeah.
So
and
he
then
wants
it's
to
more
run.
It's more difficult to not canter than it is to than it is to actually
So I had
get
to
going.
wait until I collected him a little, and then trying to find, and I'm squeezing with my knees and doing all kinds of stupid things. And there you can see that what happens when you try to pull.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to do that as well, because if the horse doesn't listen, you can't just sit there and wait. You have to listen now.
So
So take it easy and
let's analyze this from the front, from the first. You see here some energy created because you've got your legs on back there, but you're a little bit blocked somewhere in the hip.
Yeah.
So the horse's back isn't quite in, doesn't get up enough. We'll see the start again. Just ignore the end here. We'll talk about that, but. You'll see that in the second stride, he actually tries to lift his back. See here. Give me a second, we'll see. Come on, Dalton. You see that? The first stride, he tries to bring his back up and his head forward and down.
And then it's so hard when he does that with energy. It's so powerful that it's almost impossible for me to sit to.
Yeah.
But it's becoming better later in the session.
Yeah. So what happens here is during this phase when she's creating the energy that you can see the spring in his hind legs, that's the energy we're creating in order to do this strike off.
Yeah.
And he's trying to lift through in the strike off, but it is so sudden. And that is because you have to work so hard to get the energy to begin with.
Yep.
So if you, as the rider, have to work hard to get the energy there, this transition won't be good. But it will make the horse prepared for the next time you do a transition.
Yeah, because if it's not good, it's you would just try again.
Yes,
and
it's
you
fine.
Don't destroy the horse because you're not perfect.
And now let's see the down transition. Shorten up. And he does the transition. So he shortens up, he's listening, but not very precise.
He actually does the transition directly to the walk.
To the walk, yeah.
But it's not good quality.
No. Right.
Shall we see the next one?
Let's roll on.
21.
Let's roll on. I'm curious to see the changes in this.
Yeah.
I'm going to canter. I know it. I'm going to canter. I can see him thinking. An even better up transition, and his back stays much better with us. Much better. All right, now there's an interesting detail. Can we just, if we just focus on his outside hind leg as the transition goes through? Just focus on that. You'll see an interesting detail.
The down transition?
In the down transition, yes. The up is pretty good, not bad at all. And now let's see when the down transition comes. Focus on the outside hind. It comes straight through. You see that?
Straight through.
It goes from lagging behind in the canter to going straight into the new stride.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is important. It doesn't do a stutter step and then fall into the transition, but it actually walks through. Have a look.
Interesting.
Watch the outside hind. And see?
Yeah, I saw it.
See? It goes straight through.
You're good at seeing.
So he shortens, and then he grips on with the outside, which is what we were describing.
The hind legs are starting to do the job.
Yeah. And no wonder, because you could see that the back was way better after the up transition.
Yeah.
He wasn't dropped in his back as much at all, and that makes room for the pelvis to come underneath and the hind legs to grip forward. Really good. Let's keep rolling. This is fun.
22 then.
22. So this is during our yearly muster of the Rohirrim. So we're mustering on our army.
Our cavalry?
Yeah, it's the cutest cavalry ever, I promise.
So this is... now we're doing the canter between these two... What do you call those? Poles?
Posts, whatever.
Yeah. And then we're doing the canter, changing the lead. So it's an exercise that you can use for doing flying changes, actually. Then the horse understands that, okay, I'm going to do a transition here between those two things. And so you see that he's not so stressed out.
Yeah, I can see that it allows you to give your hand forward much better.
Yeah. So he's listening more to the aids.
Yeah. And so we want to give the hand forward if the horse wants to bring his head up.
Yeah.
It's so easy to want to pull when the horse brings his head up, right?
Yeah.
And and there are many exercises in riding that are set up so that you can, so that it's easier to not pull, and this is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So you set up this exercise, you bring the horse underneath you, you yield your hand, and the horse knows that, oh, we're doing the transition here.
Mm-hmm.
And also the circle makes it easier because the horse is now stepping underneath better.
Yep.
Which we have talked about.
And if you
length.
ride on a bent path on the circle, the horse more easily lets go of the underneck.
Yes.
Yeah. So then he will relax there and engage his top line more.
Mm-hmm.
More easy. You can see that he's very eager. He wants to, and you know that his problem is that he's very afraid of the energy from his hind legs.
Yes.
So, and he's just recently started to go forwards with a lot more energy, and then he falls more easily apart. Mm-hmm. But he thinks it's fun as well. And then now I'm trying to not stop, doing the halt,
so there's just a bit of a trot in between there.
Yeah, and that is sort of something that where you can start, start training the flying changes.
Yeah.
When he understands that he's supposed to change the lead of the canter.
Yeah. So let's talk some more about how he's moving and what you're doing and all that.
Yeah.
We need to point out that he's of course it's still the same horse. He's still prone to dropping his back and all that. Yeah. But dropping his back with this horse is a thing that I would like to delve into that a little bit, because he does two things at the same time. One thing is that he doesn't really activate his, let us call it his abs, his core, if you like. Mm-hmm. Typical what you think about as the core, abs and obliques and all that. But there's another thing that is more important in this particular case, I believe, and that is that what he does when he wants to strike off into canter, or if he wants to do a down transition, what he does is he contracts all his back muscles as much as he can to try and bring the front legs forward and then stop on them. Mm-hmm. That's what he tries to do. Yeah. Not consciously, probably.
It's a struggle all the time to try to persuade him not to do that.
Yeah, but there are some things that follow. You can see sometimes your butt is a little bit off his back.
Yeah, it's very difficult to not do that.
The reason that happens is that he drops his back underneath you. Mm. So he does that. He can actually do that faster than gravity.
That is so true.
Yeah, but this is an important point.
Everyone here laughs because they've tried that horse and they know.
But this is what the horse does. If he contracts his back quickly and powerfully like that, his back will drop away underneath you, and it'll do that faster than gravity. Mm-hmm. So you cannot follow that movement. No. You can't fall faster than 9.81 meters per second squared. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you and your numbers.
I think that's right. I might be off by 0.01.
But the good thing is that this training helps.
Yeah.
So the day after I was riding him, he didn't do that as much.
Right.
There was no camera there. But,
and you can see also that he's getting better and better, and he drops his neck, and he's trying to race properly through, and then, but there will be a transition period.
That one was really good.
This is a really
stopped.
good one.
Yeah.
Yes. And there will be a transitioning period here. I'm not talking about the change from gate to gate, but the transition period when you're training the horse, when you're trying to do the right thing and the horse is starting to answer, one of the things that will happen is that it will be more energetic. Yeah. And it'll feel worse because of it. Yeah. But you have to dare to stay in it, to trust yourself, to think, I'm not messing this up. I'm pretty sure I'm doing pretty all right. And then stay with it for a while. And then the horse will start to change. Because some energy is needed in order to change this. And this energy, you can think about what this horse needs to do is three things. that you can have 4. Let's say 4 things. He needs to bring his head a little bit down so that the weight of his neck is sort of pulling the withers up and forward. He needs to not contract his back muscles as early in the transition. He needs to be tighter in his abs, and he needs to push off harder with his hind legs.
Yes.
All of these things.
Yeah.
And if you get one of them wrong, if you get more hind legs first, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You're going to bounce like an idiot.
But
you have to ask for all 4 things at the same time. This is the difficult thing.
Yeah.
And this is why we always say, trust what you can feel, but try to become better at the same time.
Yeah, and it's, you can't just do this with any horse and just start doing a canter and then directly to walk.
No.
Because then it will be just a tug of war. Because if the horse is not supple enough or balanced enough or
responsive to the aids,
is able to do it. Because he needs to be... Dalton is not very good at it, but he, as you could see, he was able to do it after a while. But if you try and you do it and do it and do it, and it's still just tugging and not very pleasant, then you must go back down into the training scale and look for the rhythm in the canter, the looseness, and the contact.
Yeah. So you can say, you always say that Dalton is not good at this and that, but Dalton is one thing that I'm going to mention now out of one of your favorite riding books, actually.
Yeah.
He's Andy Hilfenstelt.
Yeah.
Which means that he is to the aids. So he will feel for what you're trying to do with your hands, with your seat, with your legs. He tries for all of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But his back is so inverted that it's really difficult for him. But that's all right. You're allowed to struggle.
Yeah, I struggle, he struggles.
Yes.
And we struggle together. Yeah, so we have to forgive each other.
Yes.
Yeah, very important.
Good job. All right. More?
Yeah, now there is... there are some... We just had made some other videos. The next video, the 24, is about how he was walking afterwards. And we found that was interesting because he walked in a very good way. To be him, because he usually was not able to stretch like this. And that is something that we test a lot, to find out, was this a good session? Is he walking in a good way? Is he stressed out when he's walking?
And this is an important thing. There is so much discussion around whether the horse should have his neck long or short or whatever the hell it's supposed to be. But unrelated. But what we need to make sure of is that such a horse as this, who contracts his back muscles too early and too hard, needs to be able then to stretch out his back muscles afterwards. So in this case, it is a test, and also we get rid of any buildup of lactic acid and other stuff that the musculature makes and can't get rid of when it is continually contracted. This is the same for any training.
Yeah.
If one muscle or one group of muscles is too tense, it can't get rid of its own the byproducts, all the stuff that is produced by producing energy, right? And we have to test that this is actually a possibility. That can he stretch back down? If not, he's still kind of cramped up in those muscles. And also, stretching the horse like this will build ligaments and tendons, which is one of the greater weaknesses for horses as well as people. Like we have known for many, many years now that muscles are easier and faster to train than tendons and ligaments. And everybody's been saying this, but nobody's training their tendons and ligaments. It's like, well, maybe we should try to do that. That would be smart. And that is possible to do. And one of the ways to do it is like this. Many, many, many repetitions of the head falling a little bit down like that will strengthen
stretching the top line. Stretch.
But what it does is strengthen the ligaments and tendons in the whole neck. And the neck is, as anybody who's ever taken a knife to a neck knows, full of ligaments and tendons. A dead one, obviously. Hello.
Yeah.
Jesus, people. Get your minds out of the gutter. All right. Next little clip, maybe?
Yeah, well, that is the Canter afterwards. I just... you see that he really wants to... You know, we're trying to get more energy from behind, and then he wants to run. But he's not allowed to do that. Impulsion, no run.
Yeah, not so easy, eh?
No.
All right, so from time to time he manages to lift his back, and from time to time he does not manage to lift his back. That's what's going on.
And what I'm doing, I'm trying to ride half holds, but it's quite wobbly up there.
Yeah.
And I'm quite wobbly in my body as well. But you can see that there, yeah.
So there's lots and lots of. Can you start that over again, please? Is that possible? And just keep doing that a few times. Right, so we see the hind legs really want to push off, but it's impossible to bring the hind legs enough underneath because he's tightened his back first.
That is the first thing he does, tighten his back.
Yes, and this is coordination is always kind of a game of timing. That's what it's all about. So we need him to relax his back more so we can bring his hind legs under. Just keep rolling. Thank you. So after a little while, he kind of finds his balance with this amount of energy. But then he loses it again and again.
Yeah, but that is also... I just wanted to add this video as well, because it's important to vary, not just... Yeah, we were showing this short canter and then the transition down. Yeah. But here he needs to be able to keep on it for a little while as well, so that he can try to find his balance in the canter.
Yes, the transitions will inevitably make the horse more tense because it is a higher energy demand in a transition than it is to keep going. Which is a kind of a strange thing, but that's how it works. It's like you'll find that if you do broad jumps all the way to your mailbox every day, it's more difficult than walking, and it's the same idea, right? So it's start stop. Yeah. That's completely different. So this will make the horse more relaxed, and also you can see a few seconds, like 2 or 3 seconds before the down transition, he gets his back right. For him, pretty well.
And then I guess I chose to do the transition then.
Yes.
When he...
Following your own advice, one might add.
Yeah. Because then you have to set up the horse as you can.
Yes. Set the horse up to be successful.
And you see, I need to struggle to follow his back.
Here. No, it's... Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Then he drops.
You can see that I was able to stretch my body a little. So that I could take hold of him with my seat. Yeah. Because here I struggle to just follow him, because he's wobbly and he's all over the place. And I do half holds and then I give. Yeah, it's just so important to give. Yep. Give forwards. Yep. And then he stretches a little, but then he tenses up again. And this is quite normal for a horse that is not. You know, this is the training of the horse. Because many people, we have this question about what aids do you precisely do you use? But it isn't like if you are very precise in your aids and you do it correctly, that doesn't mean that the horse necessarily is able to do it.
No.
So if the horse doesn't respond to your aids, it might be that the horse is not ready yet. So then you have to go back and do, you know, we have that's the reason why we have so many videos.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you have to know all these things.
Yeah. There's even more, I think.
Yeah, is it number 30? Let's see what it is. I can't remember. And it's walking again, I think.
Looks like it.
Yeah. Well, now he's stretching more.
A lot more.
This is he has never stretched like this before, you know. And my reins are too short. I really should have longer reins.
Yeah.
But he likes this bit, so.
So the difference that I can see is that his stride with the hind legs is much more forward. He strides much further underneath himself.
Mm-hmm. And he's more even between them, I think, aren't they? He used to be very crooked.
Yeah, it looks good on this side, and he actually has a long stride with the right hind, which is kind of uncommon for him.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad at all. This is nice. So this means that after the last bit of this session, he became looser than he was in the middle of the session. How the let's say how the precision of the aids, it needs to be the aids need to be adjusted so they fit to what your horse will respond to. Imagine this, or maybe not even imagine, but think about this. A half halt is described as a rebalancing of the horse and the rider, which means you have to get in a better position, right? And it also means that you will probably have to bring some of the weight from the forehand to the what do you call it, to the haunches, right? So that's a half halt. And we do that almost all the time when riding.
Yeah.
You're kind of always trying to find better balance. Always. Going for
but these are quite crude half halts because he needs more.
He doesn't respond
bigger,
to less. Yes, as the masters say. But there is. You have to think about this. We want to put our legs on in order for the horse to bring his hind legs under a little bit more. And maybe you have to do 2 or 3 of those before you can start thinking about maybe I can do trot from the canter, right? Yeah. So you have to increase the surplus energy. So it's like think about it like if you're driving a car or a bicycle and you're hitting a hill, you might want to change down and spin it up a bit before you get into the steep part of the hill, right? It's sort of the same thing. You have to say wing wing, and then you have enough energy in the horse to actually do the transition. But think about this: a halt from the canter should be possible to perform at any speed in one stride. That's how it's. That's the definition of a halt.
You can do that on Mandar, can't you?
Sometimes I can. However, it's not precise yet. It's not correct.
No.
Quite.
And
yet.
also, it's something like I can do this from canter to walk on him, but it's very difficult to do it to trot.
Yes.
On him.
Yes.
Because he's afraid of that transition.
Yes, absolutely.
He has so. And that is because of he has perhaps experiences with difficulties in the canter, and he's really been afraid of canter and jumping.
Yeah.
So especially that transition is difficult for him.
Yeah.
And then it's a good idea to train the other transitions. And then let him understand that it's possible to collect a little and do the transition into walk or halt, and then afterwards do the trots.
Yeah.
But on another horse, it will be easier to go via the trot.
Probably yes. So back to my idea is that if you want to do a halt from the canter, you have to get a lot of energy in a very short amount of time. The horse has to be extremely responsive if you want to do this correctly. It isn't difficult to make the horse stop in one big go. That anybody could do that. Bring a big enough bit and I'll stop the horse.
Yeah.
The horse will stop. If you use a saddle that's built up in the back and all that, and you use spurs that are a little bit aggressive and all that, you can make the horse stop, but he'll drop his back.
It won't look nice.
And then the art is gone. And of course, we don't try to do this. That's not what I'm saying, but it's possible. What I'm saying now is, if you want to produce enough energy during one stride to be able to stop the horse from almost any speed at the canter in one stride, the horse has to be extremely active from his hind legs in that in that split second. All right, now we have then to be able to differentiate between that maximum activation to a half halt, which says, pay attention.
Yes.
There has to be a huge range of what you can do with the horse. So when we always talk about this, the aids need to be so light and precise. Yes, if a light and precise response is what you're after. But there has to be some room in there to maneuver. So you have to be able to do a lot and you have to be able to do a little. That means there has to be a stretch in between there. So you're allowed to put your legs on with strength.
Yeah.
Don't kick with the spurs. That's not what I said. I didn't say kick. I never meant it. I mean, put your legs on with some strength. That is allowed.
Yeah.
But you have to
it's
be
just
able
like
to...
doing this and then a little harder. And
yes.
Then this is contact.
Yeah.
Just holding contact. This is not contact.
No.
No. This is contact. This is contact. And if you move the hand,
yeah,
then this is contact with the legs, you know?
Yeah.
And if I'm using my legs, I'm doing this.
Yeah. And if the horse tenses up against you, that's wrong.
Yeah.
You have to feel that the horse stays soft with your legs.
Yeah. Like this.
Ah, tricky.
But you know, if I try to squeeze too much, can you see what's happening with my...
Yeah, you squeeze your seat out of the saddle.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's as if that thing works when
that was
you
a
ride
good way
as well.
to explain it.
Yeah, well done.
yeah, right.
Well done. We did good on that one.
Yeah.
So we have to be able then to take all of these different, all of these variable aids and adjust them to what you can feel your horse will respond to in the future. You have to project this idea. You don't think, oh, my horse didn't respond. It's too late now. You have baked your grave, now cooking it, or whatever the saying is.
Then you have to try something else. You try. I did in these videos. I tried like 5 or 6 times, and I could see that it became better. And then you can try a little more, but you shouldn't just continue the same thing forever, because then the improvement will sort of stop.
Yes.
And then you need to change the direction, you change the exercise, and you change the gait. Transitions are good anyway, because the transition between canter and trot and trot and walk and do all these, and can concentrate on the quality of the gait.
Yeah, always. The quality is the big thing
because then the time between the canter and the walk, for instance, the time here is the transition. Here is the good canter, here is the good walk, and then if you concentrate on these, the transition will become smaller and smaller and shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
Because in this area, it's very difficult to start to correct the horse. Then
during the transition.
Yeah,
then you will be tricking yourself. That's what you're doing. Oh, but I did this, and no, you didn't.
Yeah, you will get out of you lose the aids. The horse will tense up. Everything.
Yeah. So every every few weeks you might be in flow and manage to do one good one where you can actually say, oh, this happened then, and then this happened, and then this, and now you've described a like 0.3 seconds of a transition. And that will happen a very, very few times, but not the. But it won't be the real main here. Where was I?
Because something happened. So yeah, I don't know.
You don't know.
No, because it's so difficult when you're in a conversation and something happens over there.
Yeah, that's fine.
I forget.
Yeah.
So let's just take this question.
There's a question.
Yeah.
Yep. For the aids, are they the same for the stiff side as well?
Right. No. Or that wasn't the question? Maybe. Let's put it this way: if you're riding on the hollow side, most often you're riding on the right rein, and you want to do a down transition, you will have to be a little bit more active with your right leg to make the right hind more active, because it wants to be less active. When you ride on your left rein, you will want to make sure that you're not clinging on with the inside of your thigh. You are. Definitely. I don't care who you are, this happens. It is as close to impossible to avoid as you can get with anything. So what you need to think about is try to think about moving your hips a little bit to the inside so that your left leg can kind of just drape around the horse.
Fall a little
downwards. Fall and die around the horse a little bit.
Yeah.
Do not create energy from the left inside hind when you want to do a transition. Create energy from the right outside then as well. This is the way to make the horse straighter, to make the horse push off better with the lazy hind. So on the stiff side, be looser and with most often a little bit longer outline. Maybe not much, maybe just a few centimeters, 3 or 5 or something, so that you give your horse a little bit more room on that side. That's what I would do.
Agree.
Cool. So to kind of start summarizing the ideas here, what we've done here is we showed some progression, or first some tests of doing the up and down transition. And then we find out, is it good or is it bad, and what is good and what is bad. And then you practice it, test it a few times so that you find out that it's not a fluke. Okay. And then there's some job in the middle, and at the end you test that the session has been good.
Yeah.
And also get rid of the lactic acid build up and all that by stretching the horse and letting the horse walk everything off.
And also there is something that you do often that is really good, and you just stop with long reins.
Yeah.
And you stop and take it easy and just wait a little there.
Yeah, it's a thing that I like doing, because all my training happens in the gym. So I think in sets and repetitions, right?
That's good.
So if I do something difficult or hard, I will stop after and let the horse just recover. And then when the horse gets stronger and gets smoother in the movements and is more balanced, then I can keep going, and it's fairly easy. And the horse will be able to keep going for longer, because he's not anymore struggling to do the thing. He has learned to coordinate so he doesn't struggle against his own body and doesn't struggle against my body. And then the horse becomes much more relaxed, and it is a massive difference when that happens.
And it helps with this horse as well, because he's struggling with the energy.
Yes.
So he gets tense when he asks for energy, and then he's struggling with standing still and walking like relaxed and stretching. So these breaks are really important.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
More?
Yep. How can I keep the horse's head from going up during the change from canter to walk?
All right. What you do is you don't try to keep the head from going up. What you do is you try to not push the back down. So if you become heavy in your movements in the down transition, that's the wrong way. Then if you do that, your transition relies on pushing the back down so the horse stops with his front legs. What we want to do is make ourselves light and stay almost ahead of the movement, and then be able to bring the hind legs underneath. So if the horse goes up, that means the horse is tense in the back. That is what happens.
Yeah.
So you have to work on your horse becoming first more relaxed in the back, and then stronger in the back and the core. And that's what you have to do. So to practice the things that we have talked about in all our other streams as well.
It might help with some horses to just stand in the stirrups a little while you're doing the exercise.
Very good idea. I would very much like to see the one where you ride with around the poles. Can you find the one for me?
I think that is this one.
22.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this is the bread and butter of this training session. What Hanne did here is make a number 8. Just make a figure 8 on the ground around a couple of poles in this particular instance. And what happens here is you can see she's able to not pull her hands towards her in the transition. Mm-hmm. In the other transitions, you had to pull the reins towards you.
Yeah.
In these, you don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm. Because he knows.
So watch the hands.
I'm trying to give with my reins.
So she actually gives with the reins. So in regards to your question, what happens here is that because the horse knows where this transition is coming, and even if you mess it up, even if the horse brings his head up the first 10 times you do this, the horse will still understand that, oh, the transition is going to happen here. Mm-hmm. Oh, I get it. And then he won't be as tense, and you won't have to pull, which will strengthen the tendency to pull your head up.
Yeah, because that's going to be a positive feedback loop if you have to pull all the time.
Yes.
You see that sometimes I have to take, hold or pull a little, because he needs to understand that we are supposed to stop here. Mm-hmm. But when he knows that we're going to stop there, he's going to be more prepared and willing to do it. And then if you continue doing this, he will understand and try to stretch his neck forwards and downwards, and then lift his back every time we do it. Yeah. And then he becomes stronger in that movement pattern.
Yes. And
then after, you have to continue training these things, and then the horse will become stronger in this pattern, and of course we reward him for being. This was quite good for him.
Yeah. And then he's on, and he comes along easily for the next canter. So,
and it's much easier. Yeah, sorry.
So what's going on here is that we're practicing, right?
Yeah.
We're practicing a skill. The skill is to change from one gait to another. Mm-hmm. That is the skill. The word for it is agility, the ability to change movement pattern without becoming tense or stiff. That is agility.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on here. And then when you have that agility, then the horse will start to give you time enough to actually prepare and change the transition. But you can't do that if the horse doesn't do it consistently. So you have to first practice like this. And this practice, you can do this 50 times in one lesson if you want. Mm-hmm. That's fine.
Yep.
And stop and take a break.
Yeah. Take breaks and do it again.
Yeah.
And the good thing is that when you're doing it on a circle, it's easier for the horse to lift his back and stretch downwards to forwards.
Yes.
And inwards.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing this because that is one of the reasons why it's easier for him to do it here. Mm-hmm. It's because it's on a circle.
So imagine this. Practice this for a week and see what happens. Mm-hmm. It will be a massive difference in that exercise.
And if it's difficult for the horse to do it from canter, you could do it from trot in the beginning. There.
There's a new question. Let's hear it.
Wow.
How does Hanna keep her beautiful back and seat through all that movement? Do you recommend thinking of a J for your seat, trying to understand the tripod seat versus the J?
That's interesting.
Oh, this is a good question. Do you want me to?
Yeah.
I want me to, of course. You guys should know me by now. All right. Do you recommend thinking of a J for your seat? For very many people, we do recommend that. Trying to understand the tripod seat versus the J. All right. So the tripod seat has several different interpretations. I will point to 2 different ones, and then I will try and explain all of this out from that. The tripod is either your seat bones and your pubic bone touching the front of the saddle. That's, in our opinion, not the right way. Another way to see it is the seat bones and that point which your tailbone points to. So not touches, but points towards. I think that's a better saying.
That is what I'm trying to do.
That's what she's trying to do. So the tripod seat is actually 2-pod, which is kind of weird. But what we're aiming for is balance, and you do not balance on 3 points. This isn't balance. Those 3, that's not balance.
No.
That's support. This is balance.
And then the horse can move its...
And the horse can move its... Whoa, there we go. It's back like this underneath you. This is what Hanna is trying to do, and that is why she's able to keep her back straight during all that movement, because she allows the horse to move around her seat bones. In order to do that, think of a J, because most of us are way too sway-backed, so we have to kind of curl our ass forwards. Sorry. But you have to kind of do that to curl your pelvis. Like the top of your pelvis goes back and the bottom of your pelvis forward. So that, because most of us are too sway-backed, you have to bring it up to neutral. And neutral will feel like that J you're describing to many people.
For me, for many years, I had problem with being too sway-back. We had this... this stream with Helen, who was riding Dalton, a half a year ago or something.
Must be during the summer.
Yeah, so look for that. I think it's called sway backed, and I had this exactly the same problem as Helen had, but when we met.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that we actually started helping people with, and getting away from that, sitting on your pubic bone and getting like...
Or your soft parts.
Yeah, your soft parts.
Call it what you like.
The things that you shouldn't...
they are not for sitting.
No. You have to keep those parts up. And then sit on your seat bones, and the tailbone is sort of pointing downwards to the saddle, or a little forwards even. So you're balancing on those 2 seat bones. And then, but in that stream, we're talking a lot about what you can do to get from that sway back to a straighter backed seat.
Yep. Cool.
Yep. Any more questions?
There were some great questions.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Anna, I think a pretty fun stream. So first, test, then work, then test whether your work has worked. That's what we did today.
Yeah.
So we have gone through seat, we have gone through aids, and we've seen how the horse responds with more or less to the same aids, at least the same rider trying to do the same thing many different times. So it is possible this is one of the things that I learned the most from, was a video of Arthur Cotas riding in the Spanish riding school. Line changes every 2 strides, and then as he passed through those pillars, he switched to flying changes every stride. And I took that video back and forth a gazillion times, I think, just about.
And it was dead straight.
Dead straight, and I was not able to see whether it was him or the horse that that initiated the movement. And I do believe that is actually the correct conclusion. It's probably none of them.
Yep, but that is art.
But you do the same with this, and you'll learn.
Don't give up.
Yeah. So that's all we had for now. No idea what we're going to do next time. Have you got any idea?
No. We have to see what the horses are
you
willing
guys,
to do.
Yes. You guys will choose, or our horses will choose, or none. So until next time, subscribe to our channel. Like it, spread it, share it on your social media. Please do. Please, please, please. We're begging, not for much. And also, of course, find us on Facebook. Trollspeilet on Facebook is a place to go if you want to see what we're doing clinic-wise in Norway and stuff like that. And Det Magiske Trollspeilet, you'll find it. It's also a resource for those who like the more adventurous type of stuff that we also do. Thank you very much for following us. We will be back with more fun later. Bye.
Bye.